we have one person that signed up, Mr. Donald Roberts.
Thank you. I want to thank the board for hearing me. And this is something that has touched my heart, and I have lost a lot of sleep over. It concerns about fencing. I was told by the mayor of Covington that their ordinance has a 3-foot. Clifton Forge has 6 foot. And Alleghany County has sky's the limit. The neighbor put a 6-foot fence up halfway down, and then she put a 12-foot. The 12-foot fell on my garage March the 2nd. I have pictures here I'd like to show you. Can I come forward and let you?
Yes, go ahead.
Let's start here. Okay. Thank you. It's one thing that I learned to live with. Sometimes we have to. The county administrator's been there. He's seen it. Kevin, his deputy's seen it. Been there. Cletus has seen it and all. But there's no ordinance about fencing, so they can't do anything about that. The thing that bothers me more than anything else is the nails that's left in the fence. Hundreds of nails in the fence, and you can look at those. And I called my insurance agent, which is State Farm, and I said, I'm afraid that some kid's going to come by in the grass and fall in the nails and maybe put out an eye or cut their face, or even step on a nail and get in the ankle and infection sit up and lose a foot. And that bothered me more than the fence. And my insurance agent says, it's really not your liability, it's her fence and she's liable. The deputy also told her that you're liable. I called the gentleman who built the fence several times. The last time I talked to him was 6 or 8 weeks ago. And he said, Mr. Roberts, I would gladly come and take care of the nails. I don't want to see any kid get mutilated, hurt, damaged in any way. And I certainly don't want to go into court, and I certainly don't want to lose any business. But the lady won't let me touch the fence. So the nails are still there and all, and it hurts me to think that I may not be there when some kid walks on my property and falls in the grass and winds up losing the eye or turning their face up. The insurance agent called me and said, it's not your liability. It's her liability, even though you get hurt, they get hurt on your property. The deputy, when they was building the fence, told her, whatever happens, you're liable for this fence. On March 1st, when we had the wind, I got up at 8 o'clock and the 12-foot fence was laying on my garage. She called the fire department. They got there a little after 8. They were there for 2 hours maybe. Took the chainsaw and had to cut the fence in half from the 6-foot to the 12-foot to get it off my garage. Before that, a week or two before they started building the fence, the deputy knocked on my door and she had sent a summons against me and my wife that we cannot be on her property, we cannot speak to her in any way, or she'd put my butt in jail. Fine, so we never did speak. The morning that the fence was on the garage, she wanted to talk, and I looked in letters that she had sent me, and I can't talk to you. You talk to my insurance agent, but I can't talk to you. So it hurts me to know that some kid could get hurt seriously. My grandkids or your grandkids, and nothing touches me anymore to see some kid get hurt. Remember the boy and little baby in Dublin who fell in the septic tank? It could have been prevented. And I'm asking to stop this and get so it won't happen to any kid in our neighborhood. We live in Westgate. The wind always blows. There are 3 apartment buildings. They are moving in and out gradually with kids. So it bothers me to know that this could happen anytime. And what happened to the $200 liability is not existent. But what happens if it's a $2 million liability? But it's not the money, it's the kids that you think about being hurt. And it can be prevented. I know that we don't have an ordinance about fencing, but we should. And we should have a building inspector to inspect the fence before it's ever turned loose. If that was the case, there wouldn't be any nails till the men left. And I don't know how you feel about your children or your grandchildren, but I don't want to see any kid hurt when it can be prevented. It's hard to look out and where it used to be green grass and all, and now it's a big 12-foot, 6-foot fence. I've learned to live with that. But I have a hard time sleeping at night thinking of what some kid gets mutilated in the face, or loses an eye, or loses a foot because the nails are still there. You look at the pictures, there are hundreds of them. There's 3 layers: the foot, the waist, and the 6-foot high. I'm not worried about 6-foot high. Ain't no kid gonna get up there anyway. But it's the middle and the bottom I'm worried about. And I hope y'all consider an ordinance for footing and having the building inspector inspect it to be sure it's safe for everybody. Thank you. The pictures are there.
We'll look into it. I think most of us have heard, your concerns and that you were coming tonight, so I think most of us have heard about it. It's just being a rural county, it's a little different to put requirements on fences in a rural county than it is in a city.
I'm a little hard of hearing.
I say it's a little more difficult for us in a rural county because one rule on fences that may cover that may also cover somebody's feedlot somewhere that's got
well, in subdivision,
a Holstein bull in it. I mean, we'd have to watch how we did that. But we'll look into it though.
I thank you so much.
Thank you.